later. That may have been my fault. I think in the announcement I put 6 to 8, but then in the Zoom
Oh,
I put 6:30 to 8. And I just noticed that this evening that I put 6 to 8 was in the announcement, even though it was two different things, two places. So I apologize to everybody who showed up at 6 and thought it was 6. That was that's on me. I'm not
cool.
very smart.
Yeah, he's the smartest guy in the department. Ah, that's why he's the chair.
You have to say that. So that's fun.
But yeah, so yeah, I apologize actually for not catching that myself. So, but yeah, so officially it'll be from 6:30 to 8 when we engage through the Zoom. What we normally like to do is to do what's called check-in. Of course, we're not face to face, but when we have met in other courses face to face, for me explicitly, I teach other courses in our department, and a lot of students really just like the check-in. It's really just an opportunity, and I'm sure you've done this in your classes before. I was doing this before COVID, doing check-ins with students, but just with learners, this is an opportunity for you to say how you doing, how you feel. I don't know if you can see my screen. Hopefully you can. But just, type how you feeling today. A lot of cool things we've seen in announcements or during check-ins. I've seen people articulating they've been engaged over the weekend, or they're expecting, or they hate class, but they love this particular class, all sorts of things. So, Richard and I, we're pretty chill, bunch of guys, bunch of human beings. So we're not offended by anything for the most part. So just how are you feeling about today?
Also, if possible, if you're um, if appropriate,
Sorry.
please turn on your camera. We like to see faces and put faces to names and stuff. So that is useful if you can.
And I was just laughing at Richard's, statement. It's a silly guy.
It's it's getting out of hand, Trenton.
We'll consider talking about jokes. My son, we are trying to encourage him. My oldest, we're trying to encourage him to do the school talent show, and he's like, "No, no." I said, "Bro, I'm gonna put your name down. Even if you don't show up for audition, your name is gonna be on that list." So if you have some dad jokes that he can tell on stage, man, pass them my way.
Oh, I'll give him my wife's number, and yeah, so it shouldn't be an issue. So. Look like lots of people are excited. So let's see what we can do to
Yeah.
squash that a little bit. So
Ameliorate that, right? Actually, that's a good thing to ameliorate. But so absolutely happy New Year, everyone, for sure. I should have started with that. So let's just jump in. The timing actually is a little off in terms of the agenda. Actually, silly me, I actually was thinking about this as it relates to our 6 o'clock time also. So, we both kind of share some of that. But just, for those who aren't familiar with ChatGPT version 4, this is an image. I just put a couple of buzzwords in there to describe our course, and not the ChatGPT, because that's the narrative piece, but for the images, this is what populated. And so this is what we're going with as it relates to kind of how we're kind of thinking about our course. Obviously, a lot of syntax here. We'll get into all those details therein, but here's the flow tonight. We know that you all engaged already online with some introductions, but we do want to allow you all to have an opportunity to kind of share who you are a little bit. Specifically, we're looking for kind of your experience level with online learning, specifically around media and training, thinking about multimedia projects. I know a lot of you have teaching sort of pedagogical experiences as actual classroom teachers. Others are in other capacities. I think there was somebody who's working in a hospital managing or something with equipment. So a lot of cool experiences that we just going to hear from you all today. Then we'll jump into the flow of the course in terms of how we are kind of envisioning the work and envisioning the opportunity to engage with you all as learners this semester. Of course, open it up for questions. And we like to conclude with what we call a one-word checkout. Just gives us a pulse of how the experience was for the night. You don't have to obviously go on articulate it you would just share that information in the chat. Any questions before we jump in? Richard and I will be both of us, kind of co-leading this course, co-leading every time we engage through Zoom. So feel free to drop some questions, and he and I will be able to address those. Rich, anything before I jump in?
Nope, I think you're good.
Cool.
I will say
Please.
one thing,
Yep,
that
yep.
the picture's a little intimidating because it's a lot of code and syntax. You are not going to have to do code from scratch. I saw that as a question. Are we going to have to learn how to code? And no, we want you to understand syntax and understand some basic code, just enough to be dangerous. But you're not going to have to code from scratch. We're going to use WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get editors. Either Dreamweaver, or we have some open source free options, SeaMonkey Composer, for the web components of the course. So you don't get too overwhelmed by this picture. We will be kind of mitigating that with the use of tools.
For sure. Thanks for that. So here are the questions. Again, this is going to traverse everyone. What's your name? If you have a preferred name, where you might from. I know line, but I don't know if it's explicit that we're all in Florida. We've had folks in the past where people are from Virginia and other locations. So just articulate where you're from. What is that particular picture that you shared with me? And now sharing with your colleagues, what does it represent for you and your research? Not necessarily your research. Excuse me. I'm constantly thinking about research. So what does it mean for you and your interests? And then again, think about how you would frame your experience when it comes to multimedia. You're a novice, whatever that looks like for you, intermediate, expert. Again, however you sort of define it for yourself, we're anticipating hearing some of that information. So let's just jump in. So I did this alphabetized. I actually don't like to pronounce folks' names until I hear them pronounce it. So that's why when you see your picture and your name, just go ahead and just jump in. And if you could just articulate what your name is and how you would be preferred it be pronounced. All right. So let's start.
Hi, my name's Leanna Asher. I am originally from Kentucky, but I moved down to Tampa, Florida about 4 years ago. So I've been living down here in Tampa, working. I'm a 5th grade teacher. I would say with my multimedia experience, I'd say probably I'm intermediate. I jumped into teaching right at the end of COVID, beginning of the whole e-learning, virtual learning, all that stuff. So getting all that hands-on experience, I'd say probably like intermediate. And the picture is actually me at Disney, and I'm holding the Winnie the Pooh books. I'm a big reader. Winnie the Pooh is my favorite character, and we go to Disney just about every weekend. So I thought that was a good picture to represent.
Awesome. Thank you. Richard, nothing?
No, I'm good. I'm just taking notes.
No, I thought you were gonna, because Richard's a big Winnie the Pooh fan also, so.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I try to keep that down low, Trenton. So if you could share, that would be great.
Okay. All right, next. Thank you for that, Leanne. And it's Leanna or Leanne?
Leanna.
Leanna. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Rachel on the call. I think it might be pronounced Rachel. Okay, we're gonna go to the next one.
Then you don't know how disappointed I was that the first name wasn't Aaron in the list. So I think we missed the golden opportunity there, but doesn't look like Rachel's here.
There you go. No. Did Laura make the call? Want to say Laura?
Don't see Laura either.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Somaili. To simplify, it's like Miley, but with a so in front of it, Somaili. I'm originally from Miami, but I've been in Orlando for about 8 years, I think maybe almost 9. I came here actually to get a master's here at UCF, and I stayed because I enjoyed Orlando. That picture is actually from Disney as well. It looks very adventurous, but it's actually a backstage tour at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And I thought it was kind of representative of my interests because I also do enjoy doing fun activities, and Disney is one of those places I like to go to. This is one of those activities that are kind of don't happen often. It was a birthday present for my husband, but it was really fun.
Great. And your level on multimedia experience?
Oh, I forgot. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So I don't know. So I feel like I'm intermediate, but I also feel like if we're talking about coding, I'm not great with coding. But I have some experience with even InDesign. I took a class in visual rhetoric and we dabbled a little with InDesign and things like that. But when I say dabble, I mean like it was very preliminary. But I'm always open to YouTube tutorials and trying it out and figuring it out.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Miley, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Hi,
DC.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Alex Colon. I am originally actually from here, from Orlando, Florida. But I have been living in LA for the last 14 years. I just moved back to Orlando to be part of the doctoral program here at UCF at the Nicholson School of Communication and Media. So I'm a second year doctoral student. I'm also an instructor here as well. I teach public speaking and interpersonal communication. This picture for me is really important because first off, this is the very first time I was at DC, and it was this last November. It was for the National Communication Association. So it was the very first time that I had been to that conference, and my research got accepted, which I'm really, really happy about, because when you make a big decision like that to move across the country for a PhD program, you have all kinds of existential questions as to whether or not you made the right decision and your work is actually going to turn into anything. So that was a very big moment for me. In terms of my experience with multimedia, I would say that I'm a little bit above a novice, but maybe a little bit below intermediate. I certainly would like to learn more. I am also, like Somali said, very open to YouTube tutorials as well. So that's what I've used in the past. And I'm hoping this class helps me integrate more multimedia in my online courses.
Great, awesome. Thank you.
It will.
Next. Okay. See anybody, Richard? Okay. All right. Cool. The next person.
I see you.
Hi. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Tom Dow, and I'm currently in the Army. This is me in UAE just before the World Cup last year. I got a chance to go over there and see some guys. So I've been in the Army for about 26 years. So I'm originally from upstate New York, but I've moved all over the place. And then the reason I'm here and kind of interested in this is I've seen a lot of different variations of training, education, learning, and I want to be able to put all of that together and define it. So that's kind of my interest and hobbies. And I'm getting ready to retire from the military. So this is kind of a new path for me. As far as the skills for the that we're going to need for this course and the multimedia, I'm definitely a novice or just below, but love learning, and I like to try to solve problems and figure that stuff out. And then I am, as I said, I'm in the Army, and I just moved down here to Orlando, and I work over at PEO Stry.
Great. Awesome. Welcome. Well, is it welcome back or your first time living in Orlando?
This is my first time living down here in Orlando. Most of
Okay.
my career have been in like North Carolina and Texas area.
Okay. Well, welcome to City Beautiful. Glad to have you. Next. No. Okay. Next.
See, David.
You said yay, David?
I don't think I
No.
see.
Oh,
him.
cool. No worries. Next.
My name is Cassandra Hall. I go by Cassie. I'm from Panama City, Florida. This picture, I'm a grade teacher. I teach math and science. So this picture is from my first day of school. I think it was last year. For multimedia, I probably think I'm a novice.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Are you in Orlando area?
I'm in Panama City.
Oh, Panama. I did. Okay. You just said. Thank you. Next. I think I've seen this thing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jason. I simply go by Jason. And I'm talking to you all tonight from Orlando. That's where I'm currently based. But where I'm originally from, both my wife and I are from a small little town in Missouri. And we moved around since then. So after college, we lived in DC for a while, or the DC area, Tucson, Arizona, Providence, Rhode Island, and then our last port of call before Orlando was Oxford, UK. So we can't make up our minds where we want to live. We've seen all kinds of places, and this picture is, of course, representative of that. We absolutely love to travel, and this picture was taken in Santorini, Greece. As far as my experience goes, this one's a really tough question because I think in some areas I'm intermediate, but in other areas I'm definitely novice. So I would probably rank myself, if I were to kind of do an average between novice and intermediate as far as my experience level. But I'm very excited about being part of this class. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Can you all hear any screaming in the background? Like crying? Okay, so make sure. Okay.
No.
Because I'm totally hearing it downstairs. I just want to make sure y'all didn't hear it. I've got 3 kids. My wife and the sitter trying to handle it all right now. So no, Taylor? Okay.
I don't see Taylor.
Okay. Next.
I do see Sebastian.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sebastian. First name Sebastian, and where am I from? I was born and raised in South Florida in Broward County. I moved up to CF in 2018. I got my bachelor's in 2020, and then from there, I just decided to pursue a master's. You know, we were all in lockdown, losing my mind, didn't know what to do. Pursued a master's. Started teaching in 2020. That was insane because I'm sure all the teachers here know we had to teach in person and virtually. So it was kind of working 2 jobs at the same time. But overall, I mean, I learned a lot with that experience. I got to use technology a lot. And the picture, I just went on a cruise for winter break. It was an 8-day cruise. So if you can tell by the picture, obviously I enjoyed myself. And my experience in multimedia, I would say maybe close to intermediate, but if I had to choose, probably just novice.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Hi, my name is Karuna. You can call me, well, Karuna Jaipal, you can call me Karuna. Originally, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, but I moved to the States around 5 years ago. In this picture, it was during I'm a biomed at a hospital in downtown Orlando. And in this picture was the thick of COVID. We were getting ready to roll out some new humidifiers. I'm excited for this to learn and to do this certificate. It's definitely something that I'm it's definitely not my field, but I'm excited to integrate both my technical experience and multimedia. In terms of it, of course, I'm a novice. I'm very new to this, so I'm just excited to learn.
Great, awesome, thank you.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
Thank you.
All right. Hi, my name is Manette. Apologize, I don't have a picture. I'm a late enrollment. So I go by my name, Manette. I have no nickname. My experience in multimedia, well, I should say I'm originally from Kissimmee, Florida, but I currently live in Tampa. I've been in Tampa for like 15 years now. I came to Tampa for college and then stayed. I graduated from University of South Florida, and I pretty much like Tampa better than Kissimmee, Orlando area. So I just kind of just stuck it out here. But I'm an hour and a half away from my family, so I can always visit them anytime. My career, I'm a licensed mental health counselor, so I have a master's degree in clinical psychology. So this is definitely new for me. So I would say my multimedia experience is a novice because I've never really needed to have any kind of experience using any kind of like technology platform for dealing with clients outside of like electronic records. So I'm actually getting ready to try to transition out of being a therapist role into something more different. So I want to kind of have that experience, especially now that it's like a tech world now, be more experienced with using the different types of platforms and whatnot. That's pretty much it about me. And again, I would consider myself more of a novice because I don't use any of these type of things. So it'd be really cool to put my clinical experience attached to this together to be able to kind of create some sort of like training platforms in the near future for the company I work for currently.
Excellent, thank you. Next.
Hi, my name's Amanda Kagan. I just go by Amanda. This picture for me kind of represents me as a little bit of a crazy person there, with that smile and some stress. I'm part of the ground crew for opening a brand new high school in Indiantown, Florida. It's a lower socioeconomic area, and we opened a career and technical education based school. So I am the department chair for that. So that's my new classroom, my new sweater, because it's very cold there. And I would say for multimedia, I would like to say I'm in between intermediate and expert actually. But I think expert's a little too dramatic for me. I am a Microsoft certified educator, and I'm certified in Adobe Illustrator and InDesign, and I play around in Photoshop. And I teach those classes to my students. So I have that experience. So, oh, and I'm in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
So everybody remember Amanda's name when you need help on Photoshop.
Hey, Rich, I was about to say the same thing. You see the plaques on the wall. I saw it
Yeah,
over
there's
your
a lot of
shoulder.
them.
Okay. Is this a public charter school or is this considered a public school?
It's a public charter school.
Okay,
It's
public charter.
Sponsored by Indian River State College, which is
Okay.
like the Treasure Coast Community College. And it is absolutely cool, but it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, a couple of days at the beginning, we didn't have electricity. So, I mean, we're just winging it every day, you know?
Understood. I've been in plenty of schools doing research, so I understand. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Congratulations on the house.
Yeah.
Yes, we're under contract. Thank you.
I must have missed that note. That was part of your check-in. Got it. Congratulations. All right, next up.
Hi, my name is Kelly. That's the name I go by, so feel free to call me that. I am in Riverview, Florida, which is just south of Tampa. So I'm on the West Coast. I chose this picture. It's me and my car and my dog. So just kind of represents I like going on road trips and just hanging out with my dog. So I chose that picture. far as my experience in multimedia, I'd like to consider myself more intermediate. I do have experience with some authoring tools, but as far as when it comes to like the coding, things like that, that's very, very new to me. So I guess I'm kind of in between us and intermediate.
Thank you for that. Next.
I don't see Mary.
We have next.
Hi, I'm Amber. I just go by Amber. I live in the Space Coast, currently Palm Bay, Florida. I'm actually originally from Boston, but nobody can ever tell because I don't sound like it. I never had an accent. I grew up, and I moved there till later. We lived overseas for a while. As far as multimedia goes, I would say I'm in between intermediate and expert. My undergrad is actually in fine arts, 2D studios, painting, printmaking, and illustration. So I know Illustrator really well. I suck at Photoshop, but I can use it. Right now, my big thing is I'm trying to teach myself Fresco to see the difference between Fresco, like the free form, and then doing the vector in Illustrator. I also can use Premiere. I edit videos for my job. I am an instructional designer for a travel company up in Jacksonville. And we have a team of 2.5, so you have to kind of do everything. I author and Captivate pretty regularly. I also use Articulate. Our company's really small, so I was also the help desk for websites. So I'm pretty well versed with WordPress. I can do some basic HTML. I've built newsletters in Dreamweaver. But I'm a jack of all trades and master of none. So.
Great. So I think I was going to say Amber might also be on one of the call help now desks. So awesome. Thank you, Amber. Next.
Hi, I'm Marion, and yeah, I go by Marion. The picture, yeah, I try to put like my Indian culture. You see the elephant god, Ganesha, then something German. All I could find was a little beer stein, even though I don't really like beer. And then I put the American flag because I have been living in the US for, I think, over 20 years now. So yeah, I like, I think the Indian culture, Indian music, food, Bollywood, those are the things I enjoy. And I teach German and French at Daytona State College. And my experience in multimedia, I would say novice, maybe in some areas intermediate, but yeah, more novice. So yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. What's your favorite Bollywood movie?
Actually, it's a very old one. It's called Pakiza. And it's kind of a little bit of a social critique. I'm not sure if it's really a Bollywood movie because it's old and has a social critique and really good songs. Yeah, I saw it as a kid. It's a very good movie, but not very, it's old. So maybe younger people might not know it today. So yeah.
Okay. My wife is a fan of Bollywood. So I'm gonna ask her about that movie. All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Next.
Hey everybody.
Picture I've been waiting for.
Good to see y'all. Good to see people and not icons. I am Josh Phillips. I am originally from Jersey, but like Amber, I don't sound like it most days. And I'm coming to you from Denver, Colorado. So this is a real background. This is downtown Denver. I'm the weirdo guy that's zooming in online so far. I think Tom as well, but yeah, go by Josh. Picture is my old career. I used to be a professional musician in an orchestra, played French horn and all the pieces. So this is from a goofy headshot kind of session. And I don't do that anymore. So I'm now a coach, and more of my bio is in the discussion board. I'm a pretty solid intermediate with tech. The tech I played most with was 20 years ago, and obviously that's changed. I'm really good at breaking things. That's how I learned. So I know Adobe Creative Suite and such, but don't know all the other fun technology we're talking about and not really worried about it. So I'm a good guy to come to for quick fixes and what not to do. Thanks.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. I was trying to guess the horn. I played trumpet, and I was like, that's definitely not a trumpet. Those are way too many valves. But okay, French horn. Got it. Awesome. Thank you. Next. Okay. Next.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katrina Shank. I'm originally from St. Pete, Florida, and I moved to Orlando about 15 years ago for my undergrad, and I never left. Just really like Orlando. The picture represents me. I'm a mama of a lot of kiddos. I have 4, and I don't know if you could tell, but it's actually at Disney. We love going to Disney. It's a great place for us, and my kids just get so excited, so we love going there. As far as experience, I would probably say I'm a novice for that one. I don't really have a lot of experience in multimedia.
Awesome. Thank you. And I would just like to say, real trooper, because I did not notice until like my 4th glance. It's like, oh, that's a child on her back.
Yeah, I actually had forgot that he was on my back in the picture, and then I looked again. I was like, wait, he is in the picture. So I didn't even notice it because my husband sent me the picture. I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, awesome. Appreciate that. Great shot. Next.
Hi, everyone. I am Sally Shaw, and the picture represents this is my core family here. I got actually got engaged in September, and this is my dog child, Livy. And so this is my support system right here. I'm actually originally from Detroit, Michigan. So go Lions. They're doing a beautiful job. And that's the only reason why I actually care about football right now. It's because of the Lions. Okay. I'm just gonna be real. But I've lived here in Orlando, Florida for about 12 years now. I am an educator through and through. I taught in Orange County Public Schools for 10 years. And I recently stepped out of the classroom. I actually now work here at UCF at the Center for Community Schools. And we work with schools all across the state. So I still work with schools. I'm still an educator. I always will be, but now I train adults, but I also advocate for education. So we just had Community Partnership School Day at the Capitol, and it was really cool to kind of just advocate for education reform. So I also am really, I would say I'm a novice. I taught and survived the pandemic when everyone was just kind of making up how we teach. And so it was actually, now it's funny because it was like a blessing and a curse. We were kind of all just surviving, but now it kind of helped me start to do more thriving now in this role that I'm in, because a lot of the crash course stuff I learned in Canvas, we're starting to kind of incorporate that into the Center for Community Schools. So I would say I'm kind of like novice wanting to be an intermediate. So I'm actually wanting to be an expert. So I'm just going to manifest that. But I also have started recently my own brand, and I've been working with a website person, just kind of an empowerment brand, just to kind of do some motivational things and coaching and stuff like that. So I'm working to kind of create classes and courses on just like goal setting and empowerment and stuff like that. So I'm excited to network with all of you and to get to know all of you. I can see there's a lot of expertise here. So I'm excited to collaborate and learn from everybody. Nice to meet you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Sally. I'm originally from Ohio, Cleveland. So yeah, I'm one of those people, like, I'm not a big fan of football, but Cleveland's doing pretty well right now. Yeah, Flacco. So also for those who don't know, so you all just won like a $50 million grant at your center, right? Is that accurate, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. So we're expanding in different
Yeah.
capacities, but still for community schools.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Ella. Next. The other picture I was waiting for.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Mai. I'm from California, but I moved here when I was in 4th grade. So I guess I'll say I'm a Florian girl, no longer a Cali girl. So the reason why I picked this picture is because since I was little, I was been into boxing, but due to the cost of boxing, my parents were able to really afford it because it's very costly. But since I do got a career and stuff like that, I was able to really join, and I've been in boxing since last year September, and let's just say I love it, and that's just like really my interest. I can talk about boxing all day because it's just amazing experience, really fun. Definitely a stress reliever for sure. So yeah, that's why I really picked that as my interest. For experience, I would say I'm between novice and intermediate. I did get hired as a teacher during the pandemic, and since then I've been working. So I am a teacher, and I've been a teacher for 4 years. So we have been working with a lot of those websites like Kahoots, booklets, stuff like that. But when it does come to coding, I have seen it, look confused. So with coding, I am novice, but I'm one of those that are not verb, I'm sorry, a kinesthetic and a visual learner. So if you teach me, I'm all for it. Thank you.
Don't say learning styles. We'll talk more about that later. Trent, hold on one second. Let me take a note. Do not get on my bad side. Okay, got it.
Right. No, I was about to say duly noted. And the white gloves, but see, I was gonna say there's no blood on it, so I don't know if they're brand new gloves or
No,
so.
no blood, no, no, definitely no blood.
Appreciate that, Maya. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Next.
Let's see how.
Cool.
Let's see Lisa either. But
okay. Next.
I do see Jordan.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hey, I'm Jordan. Nice to meet you guys. I'm originally from Miami. I grew up in Miami, but I came to Orlando to do my undergrad at Rollins, and then I came to UCF to do my master's in ed leadership, and now I kind of want to get more experience in the educational technology and field. The picture just it's one of my favorite places in Tenerife, Spain, and it just represents my joy of how I like to travel and then hiking and sports and just the outdoors. My experience in multimedia. I currently work as a teacher, so also like I have experience with like Canvas and creating courses, and so I'd say kind of like novice, intermediate, in some areas intermediate more, in some areas novice, but definitely I'm excited to learn more. And yeah, looking forward.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
And I was curious where this picture was. So this is in Spain. Awesome, man. Thank you.
The Canary Islands. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Next.
Hi, I'm Aline. I'm from Brazil, currently living in Florida. I've been teaching, currently I'm a substitute teacher in Palm Bay, Florida, where actually Amber lives. I'm so happy to have a classmate in my own city where I live. That's so nice. So I didn't send a picture, but if I could, I would send a picture of traveling and learning, meeting new people. And in regards to multimedia, I would say I'm a novice. I've taught, of course, using Zoom and other platforms, but I would consider myself as a novice. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Next.
Well, hello, y'all. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I have some kids at home, My husband works 4/10, so I'm making dinner right now, but I'm so excited to learn about all of you all. So I am Dr. Haley Winston. I live in Florida and I am originally from Kentucky. I heard another Kentuckian out there. But I actually work in the Office of Experiential Learning and I help faculty make their courses high impact practices. So that is my role at UCF, and I moved to Orlando to work at UCF. So I've been here 12 years. I am a nerd about Canvas. Like I've been to Canvas Con multiple times. Like I really like Canvas a lot. And I've used Articulate in the past, and I know about multimedia things that have to do specifically with like online learning. But yeah, I would say I'm like an intermediate learner. My instructional designer that I work with, so I also teach at UCF, tells me I know more than she knows. So I don't know what that makes me, but I'm excited to be here.
Who's your ID, Haley?
My ID is Shelly.
Billy Wyatt?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you again too. Next.
Hi, my name's Amanda Warden. I'm currently in the Tampa area. I chose this picture because I like to read in my free time, so I like to kind of consider myself a bookworm. When it comes to experience in multimedia, I would say probably more like novice. I do have experience as far as like multimedia and teaching, but you know, the coding and all of that stuff, I think I would need a little bit more practice with.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that. And so I see, so Angie, it's your turn to come off mute. So we have a colleague who is on iPad who couldn't see the images. So Angie, this is your time to shine. You can come off mute and introduce.
Hi, how are you? I don't know if you all can see me, but my name is Angie Marulanda. I am an ESOL teacher in a middle school classroom. I've been teaching for 9 years now, and I'm originally from Colombia. I'm passionate about traveling and I'm passionate about culture. So part of it that I've been liking working in ESOL is just because I can learn about different cultures, and part of it I just teach English to those new kids that they come to United States. I've been living in Orlando for over 2 years, but I've been living in the States for over around 6 years. I graduated in La Salle University in my home country in Colombia. I have a bachelor's degree in languages, and I have different certifications in TESOL and in medical interpreting. In media, I don't have like a lot of experience more than like the names. I just use the tools that I use in the classroom. So like Canva, Clever, Google Classroom, well, all of the stuff, eCampus, Microsoft, most of the stuff. With Photoshop and all of that, I just know the name because of my husband. He's a scenic artist at Universal Studios, so I know that stuff because of him, but just the name. And I see him like doing that stuff, but no more than that. And yeah, and that's it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think there's someone else on the list. Dominique.
Hi, I was just added today, so no slide.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Dominique. People call me Dominique or Dom. Sorry for the voice. I'm a little under the weather. I live in South Florida, and I've been here for 37 almost years of my life. My field of study is instructional design, and I kind of work in that field already. I'm a certified Blackboard administrator, so I'm an online operations administrator for a private college down here. And I would say I'm somewhere between novice and intermediate, and I would like to reach the expert level by the time I am done with this.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Is there anyone else? I'm just looking at the list. I see there's two Amandas. Did we get to both Amandas?
We got both. Yep.
Okay. Wonderful. Awesome. All right. Well, let's keep it moving. it wouldn't be fair if, Rich and I don't participate. Sorry, Dr. Harshon or don't participate. And so for me, for this particular image, and I'm not going to do a deep dive because we're going to introduce ourselves. But for me, this image, well, first off, name, Dr. Marsh, Dr. T, Mr. T is okay. I actually work with a lot of young people. They call me Mr. T. For those who are familiar with the A-Team, they know Mr. T. I don't look anything like Mr. T. Nonetheless, you can feel free to call me Mr. T. It's fine. Trenton is also fine. Originally from a suburb of Ohio called called Shaker Heights, Ohio. Not a huge football fan until this semester, but a huge Cavs fan. But more specifically, I'm a fan of players. So LeBron James is my era. And so I followed his career even when he came to South Beach, even went to, and I was in LA, came back to Cleveland, then back to LA. So a big LeBron James fan. For me, this particular picture, and I've actually lived in some other places when I was with IBM, and I'll talk about that in a few slides. But this particular picture for me, this is actually a journal that was given to me. And at one point, I did never consider myself someone that was really reflective. But a journal was given to me when I was in graduate school, explicitly in my PhD program. And I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do with this journal? But then I realized having time, and I do a lot of, for lack of a better word, not to be offensive, but I do a lot of prayer in the morning time. And so I do a lot of reflecting it now in the morning time as I've gotten older, I've gotten married with children. And so this particular journal for me, specifically during the pandemic, a lot of hopes and dreams, aspirations are written in this particular journal. I've got a whole 3 or 4 pages just of gratitude. So at one point in my life, I'm just thinking about all these sort of micro things that were happening and just saying, okay, that's gratitude. Let me be appreciative of these moments. We have a lot of hurt in this particular journal. We've lost children, unfortunately, but I've reflected and I've written about that. And this particular journal, I want to give this to my kids, my boys, when they get older. I have actually now, that's just the one. I've got about 4 or 5 journals now, but I would like to pass it over to them. And so for me, it represents both my research interests and what I'm trying to do with balance with family at the same time. And that's really what I like to do as a researcher, try to always think about why I do the work. And typically why I do the work is young people. Obviously, my kids are young people. And so that's really what this image represents for me. As it relates to my experience level, I'm an expert in a lot of things. I was a formal managing business consultant with International Business Machines. Most folks know it as IBM. And so that really gave me an opportunity to really grow in expertise in a lot of spaces. I installed and implemented and designed something called Systems Applications Programs, SAP, which you might not have heard that. It's a German-based company, but the competition would be Oracle, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, these type of organizations. And so a lot of my tech experience was around like developing and training entities, whether it's public sector, private sector, and really the suite of technology that is out there. Now, Richard, who we will introduce next, that's his background. He's a computer science guy. And so for me, I developed the computer science niche when I was in the corporate space. But my undergraduate background, it was more business. My master's background, again, more business. And then when I got to IBM, you had to become an IT person, or you had to be someone at least who was familiar with this, because you're going to be on projects representing the firm. So, Richard, I'll let you go.
So I'll get into more about my path on the next couple slides, but mainly from Jacksonville, grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, taught high school there, went to undergrad there, kind of transitioned. I'll get to that in a little bit. The picture here, it's Lake Louise in Canada. You may be able to see the Canadian flag on the golf hole. But it represents a lot about me. Number one, this is the number one, I play a lot of golf right now. Ever since I've gotten old, I used to play a lot of basketball, but young kids are a lot faster and stronger than me now. So I didn't like getting beat. So I transitioned to something a little more my speed, which was golf. So I play a lot of golf. I love being outdoors as well. So that's kind of here. Love to travel. So this is a Canadian golf course. And then kind of lastly, it's like the #2 golf course in Canada, which I thought represents, I'm a little bit bougie. I like nice things, so to speak. I like going to nice places and that kind of thing. So that this picture says a lot about me in that regard. So, and as far as my level, I'm expert-ish. I know a lot about a lot of things. But then some of y'all, I don't have a ton of experience with some of the things that y'all have mentioned today. I know everything there is to know just about Canvas, a Creative Cloud. I'm pretty adept with that. I'll be guiding a lot of the techies, particularly the website stuff. I'll be doing that, guiding that in the course for the most part. So
awesome, thank you. And these next few slides, and this is kind of like who we are. And I apologize for the bougie picture. Actually, this was a free picture I was like, yeah, bro, I'll start putting that in my courses. But so just want to kind of break down a little bit what my research aims and interests are. Some of these things are not really overlaid in our course, but I teach other courses at UCF. I've taught at other institutions. But for me as a scholar, I'm here at Richard and I both in the same department. Like I said, he's the chair of learning sciences and education research. I'm an urban education scholar, which is a little different than some of my colleagues, but we really are a cool bunch of folk because we all have the same end goal in mind, which is typically learning, pedagogy, right, teaching, trying to push the envelope around equity in the context of locations, whether that's schools, organizations, so on and so forth. But as you see here, some of my research interests, and if these ring true to you for whatever reason, feel free to reach out and we can think about some things together. But confronting disproportionality, specifically when it comes to historically minoritized populations, really my work is in schools and out of schools. That's why I'm really excited that a lot of you are teachers. You're probably seeing a lot of interesting things in these times that we live in, particularly in the context of Florida. And then think about how technology can kind of help ameliorate some things, or even how technology can be an opportunity as a cornerstone for young people to do different things and to think differently. I also just engage really writ large, just the multi-vocality. So for me, I do a lot of community engaged research. You could find me in a school, you could find me in a community building, you could find me at a mosque, you could find me at a church, you can find me anywhere there's some people that are congregating, having conversations about policies and young people and how to do better in the larger part of Orlando. That's where I'll be. And so at the end of the day, I'm trying to inform policies through people's experiences, typically young people's experiences, caregivers' experiences, teachers' experiences. And so that's who I am, just really as it relates to as a scholar. How I got here, and this, I'm not going to go into all of this. I really kind of fast forward. Again, I was at IBM for a long time. And there's one particular project in particular, this one that you see here, is where we were implementing. So I used to just massive trainings where, hundreds of people would be a part of and developing it and being on the side of, developing not only the code and the syntax, but then also then implementing it and having conversations with folks. And this particular project that I'm sharing with you was really, for me, an epiphany, because we were in one of the largest school district in our nation. And I was training principals and superintendents daily on a particular data warehouse where essentially we were taking all these disparate systems and putting it into one particular data warehouse where teachers could go into and say, like, well, and this is before the essence of AI and big data. So IBM was really always on the cutting edge of these things. But essentially you could have a teacher go into the system, pull down one child and kind of predict his or her or their grade in integers, or his or her grades on TESOL, his or her grades on ELA, all of these things, but specifically looking at it for the bottom third of young people across this district, this particular school district. And I was tasked with that responsibility myself, and I had about seven folks working with me. I had a moment where I was in front of these principals and these superintendents, and I was like, hold on, we're talking about a system to quote unquote impact at-risk young people, but we haven't had one conversation with a young person. We haven't had one conversation with a parent, a caregiver, a TT, an organization, a community organization, a non-profit organization. And so I really had this epiphany. I was like, I'm doing the wrong things. We're saying something, but we're not incorporating and including all of the folks that need to be in this conversation. And so I left. I abandoned corporate America, and I went to and I have a book here, because then I started to say, let me just write a book about this. Like, I know at one point, even though I was in a school district that wasn't a low socioeconomic location, but I didn't do really well. But I went from a D average student to a straight A student, and let me write this book and kind of encourage young people on this book. And then I realized that I was really just sort of perpetuating deficit ideology. I was perpetuating, like, it's all about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. And I realized, okay, I can't go back to corporate America. What I'm doing is problematic. Let me go and get some more education. Like some of you all, let me just, I want to try something else. And so I went to NYU, and really at NYU is where I think became my best self as it relates to being a critical thinker, as it relates to kind of including and thinking about holistically policy, cultural dynamics, people's experiences, the incorporating of not just numbers, but also human beings, because I think for IBM it was all about the numbers, but this is my first time kind of understanding that we need all of these things at play if we're talking about equity. So finished up at NYU, and then I went to University of Michigan for 2 years, where I did a postdoc, really working again, thinking about young people. Was able to teach at University of Michigan around qualitative research methodologies for those who are interested in qual methods at some point in your career, maybe not right now. And then after Michigan, I had the opportunity to come here to UCF and have been working alongside Richard since fall of 2019.
Oh, that's me.
Yep.
So I coordinate the instructional design technology program. So many of y'all from this course are in there. A number of y'all have communicated with me recently to get overrides into the course. I've met with a number of you outside of that as well. So I coordinate that program. Y'all have individual track advisors and track facilitators, but I oversee everything. And then I also chair the Learning Sciences and Educational Research Department. I'm not going to get into too much of this, my areas right now, but tech and teacher education. So I've written or edited a lot of books. I currently edit the Journal of Technology and Teacher Education, which is a pretty big journal in that particular field. And then you can read my other areas, but I do a lot of stuff. I've edited and co-edited numerous books on what teachers should know about integrating technology into the classroom, online teaching and learning, social media in the classroom, and all of those kind of things. So I'll talk more. I've only written one book or co-written one book, Trenton, and from my uncle is reading it, and he said that if any of y'all have issues sleeping at night, ask for a copy. I'll send you one, and it will put you out like that. So any insomnia issues, I got you covered. Just let me know. All right. Trent, you can move on to the next one.
Yep. Sorry, brother. That's your.
No, so just real quickly, I started just kind of how I got here. I did my undergraduate at Jacksonville University in physics. I kind of didn't want to go into engineering, kind of a long story, but so I decided my senior project was managing the JETS competition, which some of you may be familiar with, but it's an engineering competition. Loved it, fell in love with like working with the kids and all that. So I decided to start teaching high school. So I was a physics teacher, next button. So I did at Ed White High School in Jacksonville. I know there were a couple of Jacksonville people from the introductions, but I taught physics there for 7 years. I didn't particularly like the $23,000 a year salary I started with, and didn't see that as, like I said, I'm a bit bougie. So I decided to go back and get my master's degree. Went back for physics, got into the classroom, and I don't know if you've ever been in a classroom full of physics masters and doctoral students, but it's not the most exciting thing in the world. So I realized right off the bat I didn't want to be a physics doctorate or a master. So I really love technology. I was like, all right, I'll stay in these classes at Florida, help me be a better teacher. So I stayed in these 2 ed tech courses, and then I was going to kind of be done and just resign to my $23,000 a year lifestyle and have to work things around. But I love the field and just kind of decided to go on to get my master's in physics. Master's and doctorate in educational technology. That was fun, working all day, teaching kids, and then driving to Gainesville, and then driving back home multiple nights a week, and then doing homework, fighting parking. Good days. They didn't have online classes. I used to drive uphill both ways, 3 hours in the snow. And then my first gig out of the PhD was UNC Charlotte, where I taught for 7 years, of a wide array, a lot of business and industry kind of people, a lot of K-12 educators, a lot of higher education folks as well. So I've really worked with every content area that you can imagine, every subject matter at the K-12 level. I've worked with numerous business folks, engineering faculty, medical faculty, all over, any field you can imagine. I've probably worked with somebody on some sort of instructional design and technology project. So I've been here for 12 years. I currently, like I said, I teach. This is my favorite course to teach. By far, I love seeing the growth in it, because a lot of people come in here as novices or barely intermediate, and then they leave here, maybe not experts, because it's tough to become an expert in everything we're going to cover in 16 weeks, but much improved. So, and to see y'all, when you start with your portfolios and put your portfolios together for this course, you're going to see the growth kind of over that 16-week period. So it's really interesting and exciting to see that. So. Oh, and you can call me Richard, Dr. H, Dr. Hartshorn. I hate Mr. I don't know why, it just grates on me. So don't call me Mr., but any of the others, Richard, it's fine. Like I said. Okay, I'm done.
Awesome. No, cool. Any questions before we jump into the housekeeping for the course, the flow? Keep going. I think I have a 5-minute break on here, actually. I'll take a quick little break and keep this up, dude. Want to take a break?
You want to take a quick break or keep going?
I'm good to keep rolling.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, keep going.
You sure? And again, this is recorded, right? So for those who want to take a break, if you miss it, we'll tell you. Oh, actually, the password for the night will be. You have to say, take a break or keep going. That's the password. Take a break or keep going. Make sure you have the comma. Take a break, comma, or keep going. So that's our password for that. That's sorry, not password. It's not a secret agency. Confirmation code. So yeah, take a break or keep going. Okay, cool. We're gonna keep going. So the flow of the course. Again, we kind of see ourselves as facilitators, right? Of learning the logistics at times, but really, and again, I say technical experts at times, right? Rich does have quite a bit of experience, and I have some experiences around certain things, and so see us as folks that would help you navigate this course. There are a lot of questions we see between week 1 and I would say the first maybe 4 or 5 weeks where we're kind of authoring, going into Dreamweaver, going to different things. How do we kind of transfer files? All of those questions, feel free to ask us, right? So we're here to engage and to answer your questions. We will be covering a lot of things on Zoom, but again, a lot of things are going to be covered on the web courses, right? So as it relates to this cadence, you're going to see us at least 6 times, right? So we have one. I think one of those will be optional. But live webinar meetings, the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 9th, and the 10th week. Content availability, very different than other courses I teach, right? I teach a lot of courses where there's a lot of scaffolding, where it is my courses, I kind of release it 1 week at a time, not to overwhelm folks. But in this course, we release everything. So if you want to jump ahead, if it makes sense to jump ahead, sometimes it's okay to jump ahead and kind of tinker. I think a lot of folks are saying, like, we want to jump ahead, we want to learn, we want to try to do the things on our own. You'll see a lot of curated videos that we've kind of loaded to the course that might be pulling on YouTube or might be pulling on other experts in addition to ourselves. So feel free to leverage that information and obviously in tandem with the information that we share with you explicitly as the instructors and facilitators of the course. Full of discussion posts. I will say this, and just to be in all transparency, we were contemplating leveraging a tool called Yellow Dig. Is anybody familiar with Yellow Dig? Maybe no, maybe that's okay. So Leanna is familiar with it. So Yellow Dig is something that UCF just got a 3-year agreement with. It's still kind of in the infancy stages of how courses are engaging with it. But we realized, and we want to really encourage you with your discussions, because what Yellow Dig is, let me just kind of say what it is. Yellow Dig is kind of like taking like a social media platform like Instagram and Facebook and whatever, X, and making it into the context of a discussion board for a course. It's slightly problematic as it relates to points and things of that nature. But so we want to encourage you, because we prior to Yellow Dig, it was just discussion boards, and so we want to continue to encourage you all to be just as dynamic and sharing with each other's experience with images and pictures and hashtags. I don't know if necessarily we register hashtags, but whatever kind of things that you want to upload and include, feel free to do that. Let's try to make it as dynamic as possible, and it's not just sort of a static thing that you kind of come in and come out. Yes, there's only, I think, maybe 4 discussion prompts, but we want to encourage you to engage if there's some questions, right? We have I think we kind of framed it as kind of a lounge section up on our web courses. And so feel free to post different things that you think are going to be beneficial for others. You know, maybe Winnie the Pooh, this might be a Winnie the Pooh book reading, like, you know, Leanna, she might say that for everyone who wants to participate in, whatever the case may be, we want to honor you all's interest in this course. And the best way to do that is through discussion boards, right? So feel free to engage in discussion boards. We're going to have plenty of activities. There'll be 2 exams, 2 open note exams that we will have for the course, and then 2 final projects. And we'll talk about what those final projects will be in a little bit. As it relates to kind of the model, it's like a read and do. This is not a course where you're just hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing, and then at the end of the semester, you turn the paper in. You're going to have different mini projects that, again, will scaffold and build upon each other, that hopefully, if you do it right, you will leverage it for your final multimedia project, right? So even for your e-portfolio, the e-portfolio is looking at, like, okay, what are your current courses? What are some of the things that you've done in this class, as from some of the activities that are projects you've done in this class, and then again, loading that to your e-portfolio. So again, the plan, again, so we have it as 3 Ps, the plan. So review the course summary. It's in the web courses. All the due dates are there. It shouldn't be a surprise. If you're like me, I like to put everything, transpose everything to Outlook. But again, if you open up web courses a few times a day, you're going to see what's due on the right-hand side. We just really want to encourage you to make sure that you look at those summaries and that you lock in those due dates, because we're really tough and stringent on the due dates, just because, again, things build. We don't want you to wait till the last minute to work on something. It's not cool to reach out to us on Sunday or on Saturday when something's due on Sunday. We don't like that. we don't like that. It's like when Richard doesn't like to be called Mr. I don't like 11th hour. So we want to encourage you to engage and ask questions throughout the week. We'll respond. Schedule meetings with us. I'm downtown and also on main campus. Richard is typically on main campus again, but we're always available to engage through our calendars. Now, with Dr. Hartstone, it's typically, email him and he'll set up some time with you. I have really specific office hours that I'll share with those that are in the web courses. But then there are off times where I can engage with you all outside of those office hours, because I know you all work. For some of y'all, you might work, and that you might only can meet in the morning time, or maybe during your lunch hour, or something like that. When we say pivot, here when we talk about pivot, it's really around this idea of you're going to get a lot of feedback from us. You're going to receive feedback from Richard and I on all of your assignments. Not only do we have both the rubric, but we have feedback that we're kind of giving you so you can build upon it for the next iteration. Not that you're going to turn in another, e-portfolio or another podcast, but it will give you an opportunity to build upon that skill, so you can, have that skill set, or if they will sharpen up or whet that that tool, sharpen that tool for your multimedia portfolio. So really don't be dismayed or dissuaded by the feedback. see it as an opportunity to just to develop and grow. And then the purpose to completion, this is really when we talk about the idea of what is due for this course. So there's two deliverables. First, we're talking about the multimedia component, where you really will complete a web-based multimedia presentation, all right? That's going to either be instructional or informational, and we'll talk about what that means. But for that particular project, we want you to incorporate, it has to include at least text, hypertext, graphics, video, audio, some sort of interactivity, hypermedia, these sorts of things. It has to have that. But when we say it has to have that, there's a purpose behind it. Just like there's a purpose behind how you put things together, we believe at this course that there's a larger purpose for your roles, right? So your teachers, your trainers, your aspiring folks are getting your PhDs or EDDs in whatever field it may be. But we want you to take this course and your larger purpose in life, and not to get so philosophical, but we want to make sure that it's not just about getting an A in this class or getting a B in this class, but literally taking those tools and taking those skills and really, making life better for folks. So that's what we mean by the purpose to completion. And then before I do the quick review of modules, Rich, do you want to add on to anything?
Yeah, just so the due date comment that Trent mentioned of waiting till the 11th hour. We're not animals. We understand that a lot of our students are adults and life happens more for adults than others. But unlike my wife thinks, I can't read minds. Don't tell her I said that. But so we have to know that there are issues there. So we're not against giving extensions and things like that. But again, do not wait till the last day. And if things are coming up that may impact your ability to get something done on time, like I said, like Trent said, everything is posted there. You can map out your entire semester right now. Let us know ahead of time, and we're very flexible, but we're not flexible in that 11th hour sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, and just to be transparent with y'all, we've had folks who have experienced a lot of trauma in our courses, and so we're certainly human beings that know that life happens. And so I apologize if that's kind of like I came across as like the dictator. That's not how it is at all. We know life happens, and so we want to honor you all's life happening, but at the same time just be respectful of you all's success, which is aligned with a lot of times due dates. I'm actually not going to quickly review the modules because you can actually go in. It's readily available. All the modules have been released. This is kind of very different than other courses that I've taught. And then we have the 4 discussions. Week 1 discussion is coming up today. So we know that it's typically in the past we've taught this course, I think on like Monday or Tuesday. And so, but we know that today we have week 1's discussion is due by 11:59 tonight. The original, right, the Genesis, that original posting is due tonight. And then responding to 2 peers, 2 colleagues by Sunday. And that's how it will be for the discussion. So you submit by Thursday and then respond to at least 2 folks. If you want to do more, phenomenal. But certainly 2 peers, 2 colleagues, 2 learners by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And those are going to be those are points. So you're going to get there. These are going to be evaluated. Again, the evaluation, how the rubric and how we're defining and how we're going to be sharing points and giving points is already at the top of the discussion board. So, but again, if you ever have any questions about like, I'm not sure about this point total or this particular assignment or this is unclear, just feel free to reach out and we'll certainly make it clearer. Either in an announcement, which we do every Monday. We typically have either video announcements, so you're going to hear from either Dr. Harshman or myself, or some form of text announcement to kind of get you up to speed of what's happening in the pipeline for that particular week. Expectations. These are the same expectations that you would probably have for your students, right? As it relates to your own context or expectations you have for learners in your own spaces. And so these shouldn't feel as any surprises here. So read through the modules, document those dates, watch all live modules. So again, if you're able to participate live, or replay, everyone is responsible to submitting a confirmation code. So again, you are obviously heard the confirmation code. So once we're done with this session today, feel free to just go online and go ahead and put that confirmation code, and we'll go ahead and it'll be submitted. Again, if you're not able to watch live and be able to listen to Zoom, it'll be posted the very next day. I think if there's been one occasion where we might have had a posting, maybe not at 10 a.m., but maybe a little bit later on because we just wanted to clean up some things. But certainly the very next day, at some point before you go home that night, before 11:59, you're going to see the replay.
And
please, yeah.
The future webinars are mainly demos where we walk through the assignments and then we do them. You know, we'll create a web shell and we'll create a podcast and Trenton and I will go through these and actually do these. So we'll record those so y'all can go back and have those as references to rewatch as much as you want. So be thinking about that as you're considering your participation in the webinars. Do you want to have a computer? Do you work best kind of going through it with us side by side? Because that's kind of hard. Or, you know, just paying attention. So, but know that those are primarily demo type things. So you may want to just watch, or you may want to pull up the software too and play around. It's kind of up to you. But some of the questions we've had in the past were related to that. So that's kind of the focus of those webinars, more demo, and then a lot of Q&A. So a couple of the latter ones are really focused on Q&A and kind of tips and tricks on completing the two major projects. There's a lot of smaller projects. There's the two major projects in the course.
Yeah, and again, those small, I won't call them minor, but those smaller projects build upon and are then tied to the larger two.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Just be responsive, engage, discuss. We really want you to be responsive, right? Support each other. When someone makes a post, do you agree? Why not? Right? Let's not go off of that's great. And keep moving. Like, we want you to kind of do a little bit of a deep dive, think about some of the nuances, some of the particularities in your own responses, and sharing from your own perspective, not necessarily bringing somebody else's perspective in. Or albeit it's okay, right? If you're citing some folks, but we really want you to be responsive with your own experiences. Again, maintain those weekly meetings, those weekly readings and assignments. Again, because it's cascaded, it's building upon each other. Engage your peers. I already said that. Provide us with feedback, right? So there's opportunities for you to provide us with feedback. I think it's I think there might be an opportunity even for after week 1. There's an opportunity for you all to give some feedback for us. So again, we are folks who are, again, humble at heart, although Rich is kind of bougie on the golf course. But other than that, he's a humble dude. I'm a humble guy. We want to learn from you all. We want to hear what you have to say to how we can improve week after week, right? So certainly provide us with some feedback, whether it's going to be through the Qualtrics survey or kicking off an email to us, that's completely also okay. Schedule meetings again. I have on here when necessary with us. Whatever that cadence needs to be for your office, more you want to tinker around for a couple of weeks before you jump in for an actual meeting, or maybe want to play around with the web shell first and then schedule a meeting. Whatever is up to you. I think what we like to do is sometimes when people are asking questions, when it's something that we might talk about in 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, we might say, that's a great question. Just kind of tinker around. We will circle back with that information in a few weeks. But again, we just want to encourage you to ask questions. Reach out again. So this is more so a UCF kind of policy to use the web course email as opposed to our regular UCF email addresses. I think I probably emailed you all from my regular UCF email, and some of you have already replied to that. But if we can go ahead and leverage the web course email protocol, that particular portal, that would be best for everyone.
I will say the exception to this is if you're me being the coordinator for the program, if it's a programmatic issue as opposed to a course issue, reach out to me via email. But if it's specifically a course issue, definitely through web courses.
Awesome. Thank you. This is, again, just kind of fun. Maya, you have a question? Please, feel free.
Yes. So one of the assignments, I did get feedback on it, and to respond back to the feedback, would you like me to respond back through web courses email or web courses messages?
So
like Dr. H.
So providing the feedback when you, I get notifications or we get notifications of feedback in there. But if you have a question or something like that, send it to the messages of web courses, just because we'll be able to address it more specifically. Because sometimes we just get summary emails at the end of the day. And sometimes the feedback to feedback is like, well, it's hard to find sometimes. So it's easier if you have a question about the feedback or something like that, send it through the messages. Or if you have an issue with a submission or you don't understand something, send it through the messages in web courses. That's the easiest way.
And when we say messages, we mean the actual inbox,
Okay.
like email us.
Yeah, the inbox in,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the inbox in web courses. Yeah. So.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, just relearn. Again, I think there are a few of you all who have experience around multiple technologies. But we just encourage you to learn something new. And then finally, I have on here: read, develop, reflect, feedback, repeat, because that's what you're going to get in this course. You're going to get a lot of feedback. We want you to reflect on it. Again, it's not for you to then resubmit the same assignment. I want to make that clear, because sometimes folks are like, well, can I just resubmit? No, we don't want you to resubmit the same assignment. However, if there's questions, feel free to ask us before you submit the assignment, that we can maybe help address those things. So we can kind of not necessarily have a perfect assignment, because perfection is a myth, but it is about progression. So we definitely want you to progress in our class, and we want you to progress to the next assignment based upon that feedback.
And
please, yes, please.
So one of the approaches that we have is very scaffolding in nature. We'll provide a lot of feedback initially and not deduct a lot of points. And the idea is that as you progress through the course, if we're seeing the same issues that we've addressed previously, those point deductions become more significant. Does that make sense? Because we're spending the time reviewing your work, providing that feedback. We expect you to address it as you progress through the course. So as you may say, oh, I got half a point off for this, so I'm not even going to address it in a future assignment. Well, in the future assignment, it may be 10 points off or 5 points off or something like that, because it's something that's very fundamental to the quality of your work. So just kind of know that we try to provide a lot of initial feedback. The hope is that you address it, and we provide less and less feedback as you progress through the course. But that's kind of, we take that scaffolding approach with feedback.
That's actually a really great point, Rich, that you mentioned, because I'll give you a small example, like the alternate text behind an image. That's kind of a small thing to do, right? When you right click on the image and you see like a description. Early on in like the web shell, folks are not attuned to that, but that's a big deal moving forward. Because again, when you think about that, and I was just going to say it's around to be more inclusive. Right. So we want to make sure that whatever we do for this course, for your products, it's inclusive for all folks that can read, some people that can't see, some people that do Braille. Like, we want to make sure that we're being inclusive. So that's a great point about it. Might be half point for web shell. If you're missing some alt text for that multimedia, it's going to be more significant. We have in the web courses, it's something called Circle of Trust. This is something I use across all my courses. I'm not going to click on it. Feel free to click on it when you have an opportunity. But it really just has some principles around how we build trustworthy spaces, how we build vulnerable spaces. This course doesn't necessarily always lends itself to all of those dynamics, but it does in the discussion, because there are going to be some times where you're going to feel maybe challenged, or like I don't know what to do, and so we really encourage folks to kind of vent and have dialogue that is respectful, right? That is kind of conducive to upliftment. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to not. So Rich and I kind of talked about this idea. You're not necessarily going to have these aha moments tonight or tomorrow. You might have your aha moment maybe in week 6, week 7. That's okay. You might have it not until week 13 when it all comes together. But in those searching of those aha moments, we want to make sure that this cohort is a trustworthy cohort that can still feel free to vent and really engage authentically with each other online.
And a couple we also know that
I'm just gonna please yeah,
sorry Trent, I'm lagging a little bit. So one thing also is that we really we know that everyone coming in has different levels of experience, so what you start with and what you end with are going to look very differently depending on that level of experience coming in. So some of y'all are already experts in web design or really good at it and may have these really fancy web design skills, but we want to see you applying other things. Some of you may barely know how to turn on a computer right now. So your website at the end of the course is going to look very different than somebody who's created 40 million websites already. We understand that. And our goal is to try and just to show growth, have y'all grow significantly throughout the course with all of the skills related to multimedia as far as development goes, but also the theoretical application of it as well. And that was, so we kind of look at the course from two different perspectives there. Go ahead, Trent. Sorry.
No, you're good, brother. No worries. And I'm just gonna this is just a question, just a ponder. Like, what's your vision for your multimedia presentation? Just start thinking about that again, either instructional or informational. I think someone articulated they have a brand, right? We've seen multimedia projects where people kind of talk about or think about or thinking about like this idea of like, you know, they were photographers and like, you know, how to kind of develop a multimedia presentation around the basics of film making or the basics of taking pictures, right? So just be thinking about what can you do in a matter of 15 weeks. So we're not necessarily, this is not for those who are in the doctoral programs, this isn't about taking your dissertation and putting it online, right? It's about taking something, you know, kind of minute, you know, whatever that may be. And Rich and I feel free to engage with you all around what that end goal would be or what the end project would be, but just start thinking about like what could I do for a multimedia project that is informational and or practical in nature.
Yeah, so the final project in this course is a multimedia project, but so it has to have 4 forms of multimedia. It doesn't all have to be created by you. So we'll actually talk about creating versus curating in the course and what makes a good use of what's good instructional audio, what's good instructional graphics. We'll talk about all that stuff. But your multimedia project is going to be a multimedia based website, 3 to 4 pages. Could be bigger, but at least 3 to 4. Think small as far as scope goes, because we really want you to put together a nice, solid website as opposed to this big grandiose website that becomes just a big mess. But we want it to be relevant to you and what you do. So it could be something for your work. It could be your, you know, if you're a teacher or classroom. Am I jumping ahead? I'm sorry.
No. You're speaking to it. So I just want to say it's either, you know, personal or practical. So no, keep going.
But it could also be a hobby. It's really up to you. We really want this to be something that you use in some capacity as you exit this class, and not just something you're doing to satisfy the requirements for this course. So you're going to be doing individual media projects. So you'll do an audio project, you'll do some graphics out of a narrated presentation. You will not create video. I saw that as a ton of questions. You will not create a video in this course necessarily. Your graphics layout media project may be a video converted to a video. But you'll be creating smaller projects, media projects, that the idea is that at the end, you combine them, wrap them with context and additional text and introductions and setup and intentionality and guidance for the user. And then you compile them together to make this final multimedia project. So we want you to be thinking now about what topic do you want to do? And then you don't know enough about using instructional media yet, so you don't necessarily know how I would use audio or how I would use graphics or whatever yet, but we want you to start thinking about those kind of things. Do your individual media projects have to be integrated into your multimedia project? No. So but the idea is that you start with these small projects, package them together at the end, so you don't have to go and recreate some audio, some graphics at the end of you can just kind of compile, wrap stuff around it, put a bow on it, and you're good to go. So be thinking about that throughout the course. And if you have questions about that, if you're a little overwhelmed by it right now, just reach out to us. We're happy to talk about ideas. We probably won't give you a topic, but we might point out some ideas to you that may help you decide one if you don't know already what you're going to do.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, I'm looking at the second bullet. It's almost very kind of theoretical. And I don't necessarily, or philosophical, I don't necessarily mean it to be, but this idea of social location, there's some scholars that talk about, basically it's that your experiences, like the multiple identities that you have as whatever those identities might be, what can we pull the leverage from that to land in a multimedia project? Whether it's your hobby, something that you're interested in, maybe it's a policy, some event. So I have on here, like, what is there a phenomenon? But again, it doesn't have to be so heady. It doesn't have to be so sort of cognitive overloadish, but like work, kind of very practical, something that you can, again, do in a 14-week period. Rich, do you have slides that you want to share?
No, can we run through the syllabus really quick? Can you?
Sure. Yeah.
I can share my screen because I do want to run through a couple things with the course.
Yeah, let's do that. I had so the next steps, but yeah, let's go ahead and just.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
So I'm gonna stop the share, Rich, and you can.
Okay. So I'm going to run through this very quickly because I know we are getting close. Well, we're at 8 o'clock. So, and we that's generally when we try to stop. But the course is right here, pretty straightforward. All the modules are already open. I did want to run through the syllabus, just a few quick things. All our contact information's there. Trent's office hours, my office hours they vary because I'm in and out. Course information, course description, course objectives. There are no texts. You can read all this stuff. I'm not going to go through this. I did want to highlight the assignment due dates. Make sure if the late penalty for due dates is 10% for up to a day late, 24 to 48 hours late is 25%, 48 hours to a week is 50%, and then we won't accept it more than a week late for credit. So very important to turn things in on time. But also very important if issues do come up to reach out to us ahead of time. Makeup assignments, y'all can read all of these things. I'm not going to go into these. We have 1,000 points, so there's essentially everything's broken down pretty much into 100-point intervals. Your multimedia shell project and your e-portfolio are 100. Each of the individual media projects, the graphics, layout, the podcast are all 100 points or 10% of your grade. The multimedia project is pretty big at 20% of your grade, and the e-portfolio, the e-portfolio, the multimedia project, and test 2 are almost 50% of your grade. So they're pretty substantial in the course. Academic integrity, don't cheat. So when we have tests, don't talk to other people about the test. Don't copy, don't plagiarize stuff without giving credit. Y'all can read all of this stuff. If you have questions about this, particularly like if you're creating a website and you're integrating content from another source, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate, we're happy to answer those before the fact, not after the fact. So if you have a question about it, don't post a bunch of stuff on your website and not put quotes around it or cite the appropriate source. Ask us ahead of time. Y'all can read all of these things. I'm thinking that's most of, I think that's pretty much it. The course summary is all here. You'll see everything for the most part is due on Sundays with the exception of the discussions, which are due Thursday. And then the breakdown, Trenton, the modules, you want me to run through the just super quick or?
Sure. Yeah. Go for it. Sure.
here, be thinking about your topic, be thinking about what kind of images, maybe collecting resources and that sort of thing. We'll also put an announcement on how to kind of go through this. So this right here, you may or may not watch, review web authoring. This is what we're going to do in week 1. So if you want to get ahead, you can kind of review those, and it's what we're going to do in this webinar in week 1. And then here's the outlook to the final. We have an introduction to the final project. So we have a lot of readings, a lot of presentations, a lot of webinars, a lot of resources for you throughout the course. And I think that's pretty much all we need to kind of go over for now. I think that gets to it. So spend some time this week going through the course, getting comfortable with the layout, getting comfortable with the vibe of it. And yeah, we'll stop there.
Cool. And these are just, again, this is already on web courses, but I just want to put it in a one location. You can see all the due dates. We already listed this in the announcements also. But just here are the things that are due on Friday. So again, that syllabus check for those first year, this is your first year at UCF. There's a syllabus check that to confirm that you are enrolled. Please feel free to do, or not feel free, but please go ahead and complete these surveys so you can have be notified in the registrar's office that you're in this course. Again, to complete the survey week 1. Our next Zoom is next week. Any questions? Any questions that haven't been addressed or answered in the Zoom? The chat function.
The next Zoom is 2 weeks. It's the 25th.
I'm sorry, 25th. Excuse me, 25th. Yeah.
I mean, I can do one next week if you want, but
I don't know. We have to ask them.
No, we'll do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Right.
Time to get used to acclimated to the course and that sort of thing. So.
Right. 100%. If there aren't any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us via email. But we want to certainly will include our first one more checkup. Again, this is just an opportunity for us to understand your pulse, how you felt the first quasi first week. And I know this is our first. We kind of make at the end of this week. But how has the first week been for you? This session, what you've experienced thus far, in the web courses. But just give us a one more checkout. We're not going to be offended. Whatever you say is fine by us. But just one word in the chat, and then you feel free to take off, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Make sure you submit your confirmation code.
Yes. Yep, and once you do your one word, feel free to peace, and we'll catch you. Everyone be safe. Enjoy your families over the weekend.
Still excited. That's crazy.
Enjoy your boxing for those who box. Your languages, your Bollywood. There's so many activities on this. This is amazing. I love this group. Reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Appreciate it. Be safe, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just have a quick question. Just to be clear, there are 2 introduction posts for this first week, correct?
One sort of they're different foci.
I saw that. I saw that they're a little bit different. I just wanted to make sure that we do both, right?
The biggest one is they're both big, but we want to know your questions for the course. So that's the kind of big one. But then we also want to know your backgrounds and that sort of thing too. So
of course,
they each have separate kind of purposes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was very nice to meet everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
All right.
What do you think?
Stop the recording.